Hey everyone, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. My name is Phil. This is the Cruisin' with Phil channel. Today we're going to talk about some Harley-Davidson news. First, some news from about a month ago. Japan has fined Harley-Davidson for about $1.4 million in an anti-monopoly investigation. According to rideapart.com, Harley Japan placed unreasonable high quotas on dealerships, threatening to terminate their contracts if they didn't meet those quotas. This forced the dealerships to purchase more bikes than they were selling, which put them under serious financial pressure. Incidentally, back in 2021, Japan ran a similar investigation against BMW Japan for doing the same thing. Apparently, some of the executives from BMW Japan moved over into positions with Harley Japan. Now Harley Japan is facing the same issue that BMW did 4 years ago. Coincidence? Probably not. In slightly more recent news, at the Harley Homecoming Festival in July, Livewire revealed 2 new prototype bikes. These are both 125cc equivalent bikes, one trail bike and one street bike. They have a 100-mile battery capacity, and the batteries are removable and swappable. Apparently they can be carried in a backpack or something like that if you want to have extras for a longer trip. No word on price. I think I saw a rumor has it that they may be around $5,000. They're supposed to be going up against mini bikes like the Honda Grom, to which I say good luck. This news is disappointing to me when I heard it. On the trails of Harley talking about their vision for the future, we get a reveal of 2 new Livewires, which is really weird because Livewire has been doing really badly. The future in the US bike market for Harley is Livewires? I don't think so. My next thought was wondering, is Harley really that far out of touch with the US consumer market when it comes to bikes? Last year, Harley made some overdue improvements on the Street Glide and Road Glide bikes. This year, they bumped the prices up on those bikes a couple grand, despite the fact that they're having a difficult year. The dealerships get it. They're losing some of their profit margin. You can see it all over the bikes in the dealerships. They have $2,000 off, $3,000 off, etc., with really low interest rates as well. But now, a couple weeks after that, Harley has announced that they are releasing 2 new bikes next year. Production will start this fall, and they will be announced to the dealers in October, probably announced to the public shortly after that, maybe November timeframe, we'll see. These are entry-level bikes. The one is called the Sprint, will be somewhere around the $6,000 mark. Not sure on the other, but we do know it's going to be a cruiser-style bike. The Sprint was a Harley bike in the 60s and 70s. I'm curious if this is going to be more of a sport bike, what engine size it's going to be for $6,000. I'm guessing somewhere in the 250 to 500 cc range. Harley had the Street 500 and the Street 750 bikes a few years ago, but discontinued them because they were not profitable. The one thing that Zeitz has been adamant about is that the new Sprint is going to be a profitable bike and will help Harley in this difficult season they're having. Apparently this bike has been in development since 2021, when Harley started receiving criticism for not having any lower cc bikes for people looking for intro level bikes to get into. It will be interesting to see how this goes. There are quite a few entry level bikes out there already. The Rebel 300, 500, the V-Star 250, several more in the 250 to 500 cc range when you include sport and ADV bikes. I'm also very curious to see what this new cruiser is going to be as well. What do you think of these announcements? Leave a comment below. Speaking of cruisers, let's talk about my Honda Rebel 1100T that I bought 6 months ago. I'm feeling a bit of buyer's remorse with this bike, unfortunately. I know I said lots of good things about it originally, but I've put 3,000 miles on this bike in 6 months, and those things that I said I would get used to and be okay with are starting to wear on me a bit. First and foremost is that I'm really a V-twin guy. I love V-twins. I'm not getting into this parallel twin thing. It's just not growing on me like I thought or hoped it would. The more I ride this bike, the more I wish I had a V-twin. Another thing is the chain drive. It may just be a laziness thing, but I'm not into cleaning and lubing the chain every 500 miles. Next up is the riding position. I put 2-inch risers on these bars, which helped a bit, but I still feel like I'm leaning forward just a little bit. I put the Mustang seat on, which helped a little with comfort. That seat pushes you forward a little bit, which you would think would help with the forward lean, but instead I'm noticing back tension in my lower back and between my shoulders when I ride for a long period of time. The seat pushing me forward is making the mid-controls feel a little cramped, even for me, being a short rider. Another weird thing with the foot controls on this bike is that they are kind of wide apart. With a narrow tank on this bike, if you put your knees up near the tank, your legs are angled out a bit from the knees down to your ankles. That isn't a huge deal, but it becomes noticeable on longer rides. Another minor issue is the saddlebags. Because of the exhaust coming up, the saddlebags are different sizes, and that frankly annoys me. All they had to do was change where the exhaust sits a little bit and could have made the saddlebags the same size. Don't get me wrong, this is a fun bike, very fast, nimble, and fun on the corners. If you're a naked bike or sport bike rider wanting to do some light touring, this is a great option for you. But for someone like me who came from a street glide, wanting a smaller touring bike, this just doesn't cut in the bill. So in my continued search for the right bike for me, I decided to take my dilemma to both a Harley and an Indian dealer to see what they would say. I went to a Harley dealer first. I explained that I'm looking for a light to midweight V-twin cruiser that I can tour with, but that's also easy and comfortable to bum around town with, something preferably in the 550 to 650 pound range. The guy I was talking to asked if I owned the Rebel outright or if I was still making payments. I said I'm still making payments. His first suggestion was to wait until I pay off the Rebel, then keep that as my bum around town bike, and buy a second bike, a touring bike like a street glide or something like that. I said, well, that's probably not going to happen. I don't have the garage space for 2 bikes, and quite honestly, that's not going to go over very well with my wonderful wife or with my finances. If you saw my video before I bought the Rebel, you might remember that I talked about doing that, maybe buying the Kawasaki Vaquero for touring and another bike, maybe like a Honda Grom or something like that in that price range, and having 2 bikes, one for around town, one for touring. But due to the logistical issues and finance stuff and whatnot, that idea was abandoned rather quickly. Harley then redirected me, since I wasn't going to buy 2 bikes, to exactly what I was expecting, the Lowrider ST. This is the lightest touring bike they have at 712 pounds. So I went over to take a look at the one they had in stock. They made some nice improvements to the Lowrider ST, as well as other cruisers this year. They moved the exhaust on this bike so that they could make the saddlebags the same size, which I appreciate. They got rid of the little 2-inch bar gauge and put a normal sized 4-inch round gauge on, which is much appreciated as well. But the Lowrider ST felt heavy to pull up off the stand when I threw a leg over it. While it's 100 pounds lighter than my street glide was, it felt about the same weight to pull it off the stand. And that's what I'm trying to avoid, that heavy weight when I'm at a stop or slow speeds. I'm also not a huge fan of the frame mounted fairing on this, not just that it's frame mounted, but also the shape and look of it. This is definitely a performance cruiser with high mid controls and a very good lean angle, but I don't think it's what I'm looking for, and for now it's all that Harley has to offer for me. So I went to an Indian dealer and asked the same question. Now this dealer has lots of other brands that they sell as well, Honda, Kawasaki, Triumph, etc. I asked them what they have for a light to midweight cruiser that can be capable for touring and comfortable for short person to ride. The sales guy first pointed me to the Kawasaki Vulcan 900 Classic LT. This bike looks big and heavy when you look at it, but it was surprisingly easy to pull off the stand. Turns out it only weighs 660 pounds. Not bad. It does only have 5 gears, but it does have a shaft drive. 2 things wrong with this bike. It doesn't have cruise control, which is a bit of a deal killer for me. I use cruise control a lot. The other issue is the 900cc engine. While I was sitting on the bike, an older gentleman walked by saying he has the same bike but several years older. I asked him how he likes it. He said he loves it, but he is more of a casual Sunday afternoon rider. I have a friend in one of the groups I ride with that has a Kawasaki Vulcan 900 as well, and he has said the same thing, that it's very much a casual riding kind of bike. I told the sales guy at this dealer that I do like to crank the throttle from time to time and do like to take the corners a little bit aggressively sometimes. So we agreed that the Vulcan 900 is probably not the right bike for me, which is a bit of a bummer because it was really comfortable to sit on. So next he pointed me towards the Indian Super Chief or the Super Scout as probably the only other two options he could think of. The Super Chief has that traditional V-twin feel, has a 4-gallon tank which is suitable for touring, windshield, cruise, saddlebags, the whole thing, but it weighs 740 pounds. It was easier to pull off the stand than the Lowrider ST, but I've done demo rides on the Chief, and quite frankly, I've struggled with the feel and the ergonomics on that bike. Don't know why. They're great bikes, but not quite what I'm looking for. So next and the last option to look at is the Super Scout. Now this bike, at least on paper, checks all the boxes that I'm looking for. Has a windshield, cruise control, saddlebags that are about the same size as my Rebel, forward controls on the feet. The tank is a bit small at 3.3 gallons, which would be a bit of a challenge on longer rides. Having to get gas every 140 miles or so is a bit of an issue, although I would be ready for a break by then anyway. But here's where things get challenging. The tanks on the Scouts are really long, so I do have to lean forward a decent amount to get to the bars. I actually had a Scout a little over 2 years ago, my second bike. I ended up putting 14-inch ape hangers on that bike to get a comfortable riding position on it. I would have to see if there are ape hangers available for this 2025 Super Scout. This is a new model for this year. This is the first year they're offering cruise control on the Scouts, so to get that I would have to go with a 2025 model. It's a bit pricey as well for what it is, considering it's a new updated model. It's still on the pricey side. Definitely a good seat height, a good lean angle, definitely enough power for me. The saddlebags on these models look decent and are easy to open and close, although they're not lockable, which is a bit of a problem. One thing I don't like is the new exhaust pipes on these things. These pipes are huge. They're like 4 or 5 inches wide. They look way too big for this bike in my opinion. So if I could get smaller pipes on a 2025 Scout in ape hangers that are like 14 inches long or something like that, this bike would definitely be a feasible option. In the meantime, the search still continues, and I would love your thoughts on this. Leave a comment below if you have any. I'm looking for a V-twin around the 550 to 650 pound range that has a comfortable upright riding position for short people. In other words, it's not a real long distance to the bars. The seat is pretty low in the 26-inch range or so, and the bike is still good for touring, needs to have cruise control. I would be okay even with a used bike at this point. Any input, let me know. This search for the right bike for me is getting kind of ridiculous. I'm getting tired of bouncing from bike to bike, and it is getting frustrating on my finances to find something that I really like. So that is it for this one. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the Run for the Sun promo video from CMA. Also showed that on my last video. Here it is again. Thanks for watching.
Run for the Sun enables CMA to do what we are called to do. Share the gospel with bikers. And it's happening every minute, every hour, and every day of the year. Each year, on average, CMA members lead 6,585 people to Christ, see 6,027 rededications, and personally pray for or minister to 711,715 men, women, teenagers, and children in the biker culture. This is the direct effect of CMA members, real-life Christian motorcyclists, trained and equipped to reach other motorcyclists the world over. Through our involvement with Global Christian Relief, CMA supports and strengthens suffering believers by providing Bibles and gospel development resources, by supporting the advancement of women and children, and through Christian community restoration efforts. For every dollar CMA invests in the Jesus Film, a approximately 10 people see the film somewhere in the world, and at least one accepts Christ. Using these estimates, the support provided through Run for the Sun has allowed more than 213 million people to view the film, with some 21 million of those making decisions for Christ. Working through Missionary Ventures International, CMA has placed 9,877 motorcycles, 7,607 bicycles, boats, horses, wheelchairs, buggies, snowmobiles, and camels to pastors working in 115 countries.
When you come here,
It gets you, doesn't it?
when you come here, the whole expression of service, whether you're getting trash detail, whether you're praying for people, whether you're rolling rag tracks, I mean, you get the full scope when you come out here and you experience what service truly is.
CMA's Run for the Sun is a place where you can invest and know that you are participating in something that will result in someone's life being changed.